It's messy. I am disheveled. I'm just now, rousing myself up and everything. So,
No problem.
all right. Well, first off, thank you so much for your time. And I really appreciate it. And secondly, I guess the first place I want to get started is just, how are you doing? Like you're just wrapping up some tour stuff. How's it to be home?
Yeah, it's great. I've been going back and forth from London to Italy currently. We're like living in Brighton for a few years, and then our apartment flooded. So we were like, okay, fuck this. Let's go back to Italy for a little while.
Right.
Plus, like with Brexit and, the pandemic, it was just like, it just felt like we're just kind of struggling there for a little bit. So now for shows and stuff, we're just going back and forth. And, we have like low cost flights in all over Europe and UK. So it's super easy to travel,
right,
aside from like the constant COVID testing. But right. Yeah, aside from that, like it's actually pretty fun to just switch it up a lot. I kind of feel like I'm on tour, even though it's just a couple like one-off shows. Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. Right now, it's just like impossible to really book a solid tour. We just don't know what's going on. And even right. For like 2022, I'm comfortable with like booking stuff for the summer and like late spring. But like, aside from that, I just don't really know what it's going to be like. And I hate having to cancel shows and right. Get my hopes up for stuff. And then, we're all going through it right now. I think everybody. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know. I wish we weren't living in such uncertain times. You know what I mean? Like it would be nice to just, certainty is like a luxury that we just haven't had in a while. It was exactly. Nice to be like, oh yeah, in October or whatever month, I'm going to go see this band and I can't wait. And now I feel like there's no guarantee. I mean, I want to go see people who had to delay their tours until May. And I'm like, well, do I buy my tickets now? Are we going to make it to May? What? It's difficult and it's tiresome. I'm so tired of it.
Yeah. And it's just like, like at first I was getting really let down, but now I'm like kind of used to it. I'm just like, all right, well, yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know. Sure. Starting to become trained to be disappointed.
Right, exactly. Trained to be disappointed. That's exactly how I feel precisely. Because I noticed things got a little quiet on the front for Corlyx for a little while there, prior to the pandemic. Is it easy to say that the pandemic just sort of like made you re-examine this thing now that you're quarantined with it?
Absolutely. I mean, we changed direction like basically right before the pandemic. So it's just like both of those things on top of it, plus moving. I gotta say, like, I don't know anyone that moves as much as we do. So that definitely slows things down a bit. Just life, right? Like, sure. Moving down the street is a hassle. Moving to another country is like next level hassle. So, we went from LA to Italy to Berlin to the UK. Now we're back in Italy. So it's intense. Like, aside from like language barriers and like getting your stuff, and then like we have cats and, the whole thing. It's been challenging to also work and put out music and continue our studio stuff and like, but I think, that being said, I also picked up a few extra things that have been helping the music, which is like shooting music videos, shooting photos myself. So that aspect's just starting to pick up for me. And I'm glad I had the time to really focus on that and like practice with that, because now it's just starting to pay back. And I don't know if you saw, we just signed to a new label.
Yeah.
Out of Line, and we can just like pump out content for them, like as much as we want. So that's really cool. I mean, no, I don't have a huge budget to like shoot massively awesome music videos, but I can at least shoot a music video with a very, very small budget myself, edit it myself. And, that just helps. Like every video helps for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's another chance to sort of put yourself out there, put your art out there, and be like, hey, this is what I'm creating.
Yeah, yeah. I just finished shooting for our next single, and we just like went to the woods and like, fuck it, that's free.
Right. Right. And especially like being abroad, right? It's like these are exotic woods. These aren't shitty local US woods. These are, actually old woods. This is where the history comes from, right?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, you have like some of the best locations in Europe, like just like, I mean, US has really pretty stuff as well. Of course,
absolutely. Yeah.
But like, I just have access to all this like really cool sort of gothic looking stuff. And I'm like, hey man, I don't need to spend $2,000 on a studio. Like I can just go outside.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially if you guys are coming from LA. I mean, Northern California has redwood trees, which are magnificent. Love going to see the redwoods. Big Sur, like that whole the whole coast. I don't know if you know that drive, the PCH drive up north, and it's just like that's incredible. I would love to shoot something there. Absolutely. Yeah. You just gotta have some imagination, and like, every time you change the lighting, you change your outfit, you change the angle, like you get something new. And I'm just learning now with cinematography, like just how if I just change a few settings on my camera, it could even be the same location, but it looks completely different, and I think that's so cool. And I'm really just now getting into it. Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool though, because like it's one of those things where once you notice it, you can't really unsee it. So, I mean, at least once it was something that I kind of started paying attention to. Like a lot of films that I loved became films that I just was even more in love with, right? Like, because it was like another level of like, oh, I knew I liked this, but now I understand why I absolutely love this or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you are also into filming.
I am. It's one of those things that I've never sat down and taken the time to do anything with. You know what I mean? It's like an armchair sort of like, this is the thing I think is cool and would love to attempt myself, but just have not, converted theory to action yet.
Add it to the pile of things I want to do.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've got a bookshelf over here of books that are they're just waiting like any day now. So.
I know, I think it was nice to have the time, to really, just like during the pandemic. I mean, I think everybody, like some people didn't, and that's okay too, because it was like ultra stressful thinking like you're going to die, obviously. And, but I work good in those circumstances where I'm just like, well, time for me to, learn something new or just like get better at what I'm doing already. And so that, for me personally, that was like a really important part of it.
And
but now, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I just wanted for a moment, you mentioned your label being signed to the new label. You seemed very excited about it. Leading up to it on social media, leading up to the announcement, like,
was.
I did notice you were just like, you were very like tickled about it. Well, can you, I'm interested to know why, like what caused you to feel so like excited and rejuvenated, I guess.
Yeah. First of all, I love Negative Gain. Like, what a great label they are. They have the best artists out right now. Like, they really do. And then the owners, Micah and Roger, are like ultra passionate, and they're just fans, you know, they're just like music fans. They're not in it for the money and the corporate thing, you know. So that approach I really appreciated, and I just felt like
I feel like that's most of us, though. I mean, really,
Yeah.
like anybody in this scene is just kind of like, what's money?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, but like, no, I mean, there are a lot of labels out there that are very like, you know, they're not doing it for fun. Let's just say that. And I just, yeah, I felt really safe with them. That was like my safety zone, was being with Negative Gain. But Out of Line reached out, and it was kind of just like out of nowhere. They saw the Echo, and the president like really loved the song, and yeah, he just like discovered it on his own. I know a lot of people send their stuff to Out of Line, and like, you know, because they're a much bigger label. It's kind of like an end destination for a lot of artists in the scene. So but I there's nothing like, you know, the discovery element. So he discovered us, and he he just made like a really an amazing offer, and it was just like the next step for us. I don't know how it will play out long term, but they have like a massive YouTube channel. That's really important. They've got really big Spotify presence. Like, we've already like bumped our numbers up a lot, just even being with them for one single so far. And they're just like, they are also a booking agency, which is a big deal. Especially, I think that was the main thing, was like, you know, numbers aside, they can get us booking in Europe, and especially Germany, which is a really important market for us. You know, I don't live in the US, and so the Europe market is really important. And I've been trying to book Corlyx, you know, by myself, and I also had this other small booking agency, but it's just been so hard, and I just felt like I kept hitting all these walls with booking. And booking is really everything. I mean, we're a band, we need to play. Like, that's what's up. You know, releasing music is cool, but like, you need to play shows. So that was really the main exciting portion of it.
I apologize. My dog is throwing up or something to that effect.
Oh, no.
I need just. I will be right back. Hold on.
Sure. I'm so sorry.
recovering from like an illness, and her allergies are acting up. She's very mucusy and snotty. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please continue.
No, I'm so sorry. Yeah, so booking was a really exciting portion of the deal, and
sure, because then that's a ton of heavy lifting, right? Like that you had to do yourself.
Yeah. And I just, I felt like I think I made a post like I'm about to announce something that's going to change my life, because really it's taking Corlyx from, a passion project to like, potentially something that is going to be like a career. So that's really, really exciting. And we'll see how 2022 goes. I know, like, as far as booking goes, especially, like, most of the stuff is all rolled over from 2020 to 2021, now to 2022. So a lot of the stuff is already booked up. But just, we've got some exciting stuff already in the works. So that's cool. I'm definitely really excited for that.
Yeah, as you should be. It sounds like it. It makes sense that you would be excited about the label for that reason. I mean, it has to be like gives you more time to focus on the art aspect itself, right? I mean, now you have time to explore cinematography and that kind of a thing.
Yeah. I'm just, doing it all, doing what I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now that we've kind of talked about your career and kind of talked about Corlyx a little bit, I'm just curious about you. So, I mean, the first time that I ever heard your voice or was exposed to anything you'd done was the collaborations with Jamie in Electronic Substance Abuse. And I was just so struck by the performance and everything that I was like, well, I need to see, where this came from. What is this person making on their own, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I was kind of turned on to your music. But what? Onto your music, but what I don't know, I guess, who are you? Who's Caitlin Stokes, and why why should I care, but maybe why does somebody else, why should they care, I guess?
Oh, okay. Yeah, good question. Why should anyone care, right?
I mean, let's not get existential. Let's not get too deep. Like,
yeah.
Oh, we don't have to talk about philosophy, but
well, first of all, like my whole 20s, I was a nurse. I was an operating room nurse, mostly neurosurgery and spine surgery. And I always did music on the side. And just because I lived in LA and I was supporting myself, and it was a hustle, like trying to do music and working full-time job and paying the bills in LA. Everything's super expensive, and I loved surgery. Like I loved helping people. I loved anatomy. Like I loved the doctors I worked with. I worked with like the best surgeons in the world. Like I got to see a lot of really cool shit. And but I never really had time to do anything else. I was just like went home and played my guitar, and like I was in a couple of little bands here and there, but I could never record any music or like devote myself to music at all. So I was just like, whatever. I even tried like screenplay writing and like painting and like, just stuff to like keep my artistic side busy. And then I met Brandon, and he had been a musician his whole life and like various other bands. And we just started writing together, and it was like I was helping him with some stuff for his band, The Dark. And then the Corlyx just sort of happened in LA like in 2015. And then, we're just like, you know what, let's get out of LA and like go to Europe and just like kind of focus on this more. And I think like for me personally, I've had to just pull up my bootstraps and like, bust my ass my whole life. Like I never had family helping. My mom was always sick, and like I was always taking care of her, and just like I suddenly just this angel came into my life, and like really like that's what he is. And he just like kind of, not that my life was so bad, but like he just kind of like saved me and was like, hey, let's do this. And it was just like, it was so cool the way it happened. Like I basically retired.
Right.
And I got to just like live my dream. Like I'm literally living my dream right now. And I think it's just like, it could happen. You can meet someone at any time or not. You could just do it yourself. But like, I just feel really, really fortunate to have an opportunity where I have someone supporting me and like being like, do what you want, babe. Like, here you go. Like, I'm going to support you. And it's just like, if I didn't have him, well, first of all, I don't know what kind of music I'd be making, because everything we do together. And it's like, it's a team effort.
Sure.
But also like, I just don't know how I would do it on my own, like working full time and then trying to do music on the side. Like I have so much respect for people who can actually make it happen, who are doing both. And I just like, I have him supporting me doing that. And I say this to people all the time. I'm like, guys, if you really want to like do music and like go for it, you have to have support from your family, someone like because we just don't have enough time in the world to master our craft and work full time. Like I know some people do it, they make it happen, but it just takes so long. And it's just, I kind of feel like really, really fortunate to have that. But
especially with your background being in LA, doing like working in hospitals. My wife works in the hospitals, and I'm in a situation that's not so dissimilar from you. Like, I do this, and I'm the house husband, and she makes the bulk of her money. She's a neuromonitor.
Okay. Yeah,
so
I used to work a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So she, I mean, her schedule's crazy. Surgery schedules are crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, there would be no time, especially living in LA. I've been to LA once, and I saw all I needed to know about like the LA commute. I finally understood. So, I mean, between working and everything else you were trying to do just to stay afloat in LA, I mean, at what point do you get time for Caitlin Stokes, let alone your art or whatever you want to make?
No, and absolutely. And like, I think like having a solid backup plan is really good, like, because I was just sort of always on my own. So it wasn't an option to just like be a starving artist. Like I literally would have been on the streets. So it's just like, and I also had to think about my mom. I've been like sending her money since I was 12 years old. And like, I just had a lot, like I couldn't ever give myself to art because I had just too much responsibility and I just always felt like, oh, I have all of this in me and it's never like, no one will ever know, and it was sad. Like I was like, man, I know that I have so much to give in that way, but like, I don't think it's ever going to happen for me. So I kind of just, I accept that, but I never gave up hope. Because it was something that like I've been singing since I was 4 years old. And it's just like, I learned how to play guitar. Then I learned how to play flute. Then I learned how to play piano. Then I learned how to play drums and bass. Like I'm a dedicated artist, but wrote hundreds of songs, but I just never had the shot.
Right.
And so now,
I was just
go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, because it was just like you learned all these things right when you had the time, and then the moment that like school is over, this structure is over where you have just enough time to be like exploring who you are. You have to go to work, and now at a time in your early 20s, which I don't know about you, but I didn't. Early 20s Brian was a shit show of a person. So it's like, I feel like there was so much I was working on when it came to myself at that time that stopped. And it sounds like that's kind of what happened for you, that, the world jumped on your back.
Exactly. And I was just like, literally gave up. Like, I was like, like, this is just, whatever. Like, I'll play my guitar and sing a song, like, for fun, just like for myself.
Right.
And, so I had a crazy childhood. Like my mom's schizophrenic, and she raised me like by herself, and like we moved all over the world, and like we were always like running from aliens and the government, and like like I used to think all that stuff was real until I was like around 12 years old, and then I was like, oh, it's not real, and like I have a very strange young childhood, and like I think that adds to my art because I have a very different way of looking at the world. And also when you have a single parent who's unwell, you kind of just survive. You're in survival mode. So I also have that aspect to my personality, and like I think all of that stuff translates to my art. I love to write about life, and I love to like I like to think that like I look at it a little differently than most people, and that's what maybe makes me like a little unique. I just grew up very, very differently than everyone else. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, that's. I'm sorry to hear that you had to go through that, but I am glad that you've come out the other side of it, living a life that's fulfilling and happy, and doing what you want to do.
I mean, it all adds to it, right? Like,
sure.
She was a very loving person, and she was also an artist herself, and like she just she got sick, and that's not her fault, and like she did her best. And I think that made me realize too a long time ago that like I think everyone is doing their best, but some people just don't have the tools to really show that. So I do believe even like the worst people are kind of doing their best with what they have. So I have a lot of compassion for mental illness, and like I talk about it a lot, especially mental illness that's like extremely debilitating. Like I have a lot of compassion for that because they just can't help it. So I love to talk about all that shit, that's definitely like, it gives me a lot to write about. And I also like music is one of the very few times, like when I'm listening to good music or I'm making good music, it's really the only time I feel like I can express myself emotionally. And like I have like a little bit of a block because of all the trauma. Like, so when I'm listening to music, it's like the one time I can really like be emotional. And for me, music is that it's therapy, it's an emotional thing. Like that's why maybe I hate pop music, because it's just too happy and I'm like, no, I can't connect to this at all. I like, music that I can connect to that's like dark and emotional or sad or even
Sure.
like really sexy. Like I need that from music, and I think that's when I make music, that's what's pushing me.
Right. And I think that anybody who's seen your videos or seen any of your promotional photos is aware of your proclivity for adding sexy things and elements to your music. What do you mind if I ask, just sort of like, how did you land on, like, not only am I an artist and a musician, but this is a side of myself that I feel comfortable putting out there and I want people to see. I mean, not that you shouldn't, I'm not making a judgment call on that by any means. I just want to know, how'd you get there?
I'm very comfortable. Like living in like tons of different countries and being moved around. Like I went to 4 different high schools, 3 different middle schools, 3 different elementary schools. Like I am not socially anxious whatsoever. And this is by force, because I was forced to like constantly make new friends, constantly meet new people, be out of my comfort zone year after year after year after year. So it's like, for me, I am just like so incredibly comfortable with any aspect of myself. Like I don't mind sharing my story. I have zero shame in like who I am, what I've been through. Because that's life. Life is messy. Life is, like I don't carry shame with me ever. So that translates into my sexuality, into my sensuality. Every person I've dated or every experience I've had, I'm like, yeah, that was cool. Like, even if it wasn't the right thing, now, like looking back, like I'm like, you know what, that was an experience, and fuck yes, that's what life is. Like I also, a big part of it was when I moved to Berlin. They have this like they call it free body culture, and it's there's a German word for it, I forget. But basically, like half of the clubs you go to are like naked clubs. Or like if you go to the lake to swim, like everyone's naked. Like people, they just don't look at like their bodies as like something to be ashamed of. And so that really like impacted me. I was like, this is how people should be. Like they should be free. They should be, especially women. Like, yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, if you don't want to be that, also great. But like, if you do, you should be able to. Like, I loved that about Berlin, and how you could really just, I don't know, like they're just so accepting of like everything, and whatever you're into, it's cool. There's probably a night for that. Like,
right.
Like some club will cater to that, whatever it is that you're into. And yeah, it's just like, it's a really free place. And like, once you're embedded in a society like that, it really changes you. Like it really does. So I sort of took inspiration from that, especially on my second record, Into the Skin, which was our last industrial sort of dark electro record. And it was just like all about my experiences in Berlin, and like just the whole vibe was very Berlin. And then when I started making like more goth, post-punky, dark wave music, also like as I get older, I'm kind of like a little more mature now. So I'm just thinking like, I don't know. I'm just constantly changing, really, like my aesthetic that I put online, especially. Just kind of like based on what's going on in my life, really.
Sure.
That's really it. And I think like we all should be able to evolve artistically. And like I look back on that work and I'm just like, oh, that was cool. That was a moment. Like that's what I was feeling. I'm so glad I did that. And just like on to the next. And yeah, I definitely keep evolving for sure. And I guess like my sensuality, like my modeling stuff, like it's all just I don't know, like I love it. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just was curious, and you mentioned something that I did kind of want to touch on, which was, you mentioned last industrial record, and
yeah.
as for as far as like all the sexuality that and sensuality that you put into your music, I mean, now after talking to you and sort of interacting with you as a person, it makes a lot of sense why your music comes across as so honest and comes across as so candid. It all goes together. It all makes sense now. I appreciate that you kind of
yeah, like I'm also, I'm serious, but I'm also not so serious. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I am the first person to like joke about myself and like, there's always a like an element of like, okay, this is a serious topic, but like also like I don't take myself too seriously. Like I do like to have a little bit of fun, and I don't know if that comes off on social media, but definitely when you meet me or you talk to me, you could kind of gauge that a little bit, I think. Sorry, my cat is like attacking my arm.
Oh, it's all good. What's your cat's name?
I have a cat. Her name is Akasha, and then I have one. Her name is Jezebel.
Gotcha.
And they're just like utter demons.
Right. Well, moving with pets. You mentioned that earlier, and that's some hard, miserable shit. I've moved. Seriously. My wife and I have moved with our animals like across country twice, and yeah, it's brutal. It's not fun. But you did mention that it was your last sort of industrially kind of an album. Are you happy with what you're doing now? Like, what led you to suddenly go like, you know what? I want to do. Let's shift gears. I want to do this instead. How'd you get there?
Well, a couple of things. One, I kind of felt like in the industrial scene was a little bit of a boys' club. I got the vibe.
Sorry, can I interrupt you really quick right there?
Yeah.
And I want to hear about that. I would like you to expand on that if you could.
Yeah, there was a couple things where I was like, oh, I feel like I'm not being taken seriously as a female industrial artist. I know there are some that are totally kicking ass and like legendary, but that's far and few. And I will get stuff like, I will get like messages like, oh, your music is actually good. And it was just like, would you be saying that if I wasn't a woman?
Right.
And also like, even with my booking agency, she was just like, oh, industrial music. And like, I don't know. I just felt like the vibe was like, if you're a woman making industrial music, it's probably going to either suck or someone else is making the music and doing the production and you're just the singer, which absolutely wasn't the case. And or like, people will be like, oh, just like really condescending kind of like vibes. And then this just happened for like, over the course of 2 years. And also, yeah, I just kind of felt like I wasn't invited to the party. Like, I don't really know how to explain that exactly. Or I felt like I had to be a certain stereotype of a woman in order to like continue down that road. And I don't know, maybe
how do you mean, like, when you're a certain
like I felt
type?
like I had to be more like Lords of Acid, like maybe even more over the top, like sexual, like industrial chick, or like be more like I don't know. I just kind of felt like I had to like keep doing that vibe if I was going to stick with industrial. And, you know, because that music is very, it is very sexual. Like industrial music to me is like music for the club, which, you know, that's a vibe. Or music, you know,
or by yourself even.
Yeah, or just like you know, and it's no, I mean, obviously I love industrial music. I listen to it at any, even if I'm cooking, but like, I don't know. It just felt like a little bit of a wall, like how I could express myself artistically if I was going to stick to only doing industrial music.
Gotcha.
Then I'm a huge fan of, like, I think the first record I ever bought was The Cure. So I love goth music. I love Joy Division, Susie and the Banshees, like all of like the old school post-punk music. I absolutely have always loved my whole life. And I was like, you know what? I would love to make a record more like that. Like I would love to, and I kind of felt like there's more women making goth music. There's more women in that genre. It's a little more accepted to be a woman in that genre, because it doesn't mean that you have to be, you know, a producer. Like you know, if you're making industrial music, you're a producer, right? Like,
sure,
that's what you are, because it's all electronic. So, yeah, it was like, I think that's where the vibe of like, oh, maybe your music sucks because women can't produce.
Right.
That's like, or like women don't do that. That's not something women do. Women are just singers. That was the vibe I was getting. So I'm not going to fight that battle. Like, that's not a battle I want to fight.
Sure.
Because you're already trying to prove yourself, right? Like, I don't like that vibe of like, oh, I have to prove myself to these people. So
because you're already like, there's already a level of like, I guess so, like insecurity when it comes to art, right? Because you never know if anybody's gonna like it or not, or get it, or if you're just gonna be the fucking weird person in the room. But you know, so you're looking for that acceptance as well, and so on top of that, to also have the barrier of like, oh, I'm, you know, living my life as the other, right? You're the non-default, the woman, right? So it's got to be extra nerve-wracking.
Let's see if she can actually make good music, like, you know. So I just think like it was just like a little too much. And this is something I never even considered when I started making music. Like, I didn't even like consider this. I was just like, oh, fuck yeah, like, I'm going to do this. And it just started becoming, and then I started talking to a few other female industrial artists. Vicious Precious from Pretty Addictive is actually doing a whole series about this, about women in like dark music, but particularly like women in industrial music, how we kind of feel like we're like fighting against this boys club thing. So like if all the women are thinking that, then definitely like
It's a thing yeah, for sure. I mean,
yeah, we're not just like imagining it. So, and it's the same probably in the metal world. Like, oh,
I would have to believe. I mean, I see. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to shame anybody because, people are doing their best, like you said. But there are music videos, heavy metal music videos that like I'm noticing a trend. Certainly plenty of people are of just like this. They're trying to sell sexuality and it feels disingenuous, right? It doesn't feel like something that's honest, especially compared to what you've produced. Like the manner it's being used is being used to get clicks, and I feel like that's just, it's not adding anything, right? So I have to believe it's really shitty there too.
Sure, absolutely. But because music is so personal for people, it's supposed to be this really intimate, emotional thing. Like when we listen to music, like again, it's therapy, right? So if it feels manufactured, and I think that's why so many of us hate pop music, is because when it feels manufactured and it feels like unauthentic, it's disturbing. Like it's literally insulting. So I totally understand that. However, I also understand from a marketing standpoint and trying to fight against algorithms and 10,000 other bands that are out there. If you are an attractive woman and you're also in a metal band, you should use everything you have to entice people to listen to your work. And there's also nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, it's probably working. And it just depends, on the viewer, right? Some people might be like, oh, that's hot, I love this band. Some people might be like, does she really need to do that? She's got a great voice. This is a cool song. Why is she fucking humping the floor?
Right. And then it comes back to that question of like, am I a prude, or is this a representation of suppressed female sexuality? Like it almost feels like you need like liner notes for the video, just to be like, what are you doing here?
What are you trying to? Yeah. And I think this is like the most important thing when you're a female artist, and if you are going to be like sexual or half naked in your music video, nothing wrong with that. I fully approve of that. However, there has to be artistic intent behind what you're doing. So like it can't just be gratuitous, check out how hot I am, because however, that does work. but
I mean, whenever I take a picture of myself, that's what I'm doing. So,
but I like it when, it's got that cool, but it also has something awesome going on, and there's artistic intent behind it, and it's not just like this gratuitous like tit fest. So I do like when there's some thought behind it, and it's more than that. up to the viewer to interpret, that like, but I like to think the attention I get and my fan base always see that with my work, no matter what it is. Because the proof is in the pudding. Like, I really do get fans that like message me and they're like, they see what I'm doing. Like they get it. Like, I'm not getting like dick pics in my inbox. I was even telling another interview about that. And I'm like, that has literally never happened to me. And
Right.
It's not because I'm not attractive. It's because I don't present myself to the world in that way where I'm kind of like not asking for it, because I hate to say that. Like, I hate that.
Sure.
But I just like, because nobody deserves a dick pic in their inbox. Like, nobody. I don't even care if you're a porn star. You don't deserve that.
I know at least I could count on one hand plenty of people I know that deserve dick pics, but I'm very petty, so I'm glad that you're
like, well, you do. There's a little bit of truth to you get back what you put out. So
right, sure.
You know, if you are on the floor with your butt in the air in your music video, twerking and humping the floor, you might send out a signal to someone, hey, I'm horny,
Right. And I mean, there's lots of disturbed people in the world.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly, of course. And you're just sort of like calling out to those people, and again, we should be able to do whatever the hell we want to do in our music videos or on our social media, on our posts. Like, we really should, in a perfect world, but we don't live in a perfect world. We don't. And there are creepy people out there who can get the wrong message. So, I definitely am aware of that. And I always try to, like, no matter what I'm doing, maybe I'm fully covered, maybe I'm not, but like, I always try to make it very artistic, make it like empowered. And make it just like authentic is probably like the best word I can say, because no matter what, I like to think that comes through.
I absolutely think it does. And I'm even sitting talking with you now, you come across as very genuine and very authentic. And that's definitely part of your appeal. I did want to ask, though, so you did mention that you think there are a few industrial artists out there who are female industrial artists who are killing it and kicking ass. Can you name drop like who's like catching your eye, or?
I think like Emily Arsenic, she was on a roll. She was doing amazing. She's an awesome producer. Like, I know she did recently get sick, so she's not really doing a lot right now. And then a couple of the ladies on Negative Gain are doing amazing stuff. A couple of non-binary artists are doing some amazing stuff. So whatever category you want to put that in. But like, and then of course, like, Lords of Acid is like one of my all-time favorites. Like, I used to listen to them nonstop. There's a couple of German acts. I always like mispronounce. It's like Madame Gral. I don't know. I've heard a couple of their tracks, but it's like they perform topless all over Germany. Oh man, it's like Grazam. It starts with a G. I don't know, but they're just like they do great. Like they're fucking awesome. But yeah, not a lot. Also, my girlfriend Sammy Doll, she's awesome. She needs to put out more music. Her last band was full on industrial, like electronic rock. And Josie Pace also, wow, what a fucking killer singer she just put out. Like, incredible. She's doing excellent. Now, they're more on the like electronic rock side, not like exactly, pure industrial, but I love the industrial elements that they have going on. I think that's really the key. There's also a lot of like dark pop artists out there that use like industrial elements in their songs. So I think that is definitely the way to go. There's this there's a couple other even like more mainstream artists that use like industrial stuff in their music, and it's absolutely working. I wouldn't call them like full-blown industrial artists, but like they definitely take from that. And I think, and then obviously like Halsey just, I don't know if you want to call that industrial, but that was unexpected.
I mean, I think a record produced by Trent Reznor I think that, merits some street cred, right? Like, so one other thing I do want to ask, and this is just to sort of be respectful of your time, because we're coming up on an hour and I don't want to keep you too long.
Well, that's bad.
This has been very, very pleasant. By the way, you're, like I said, you're a very genuine person, and that certainly comes across. And this has been very wonderful to share some time with you. But I was curious what, just sort of to segue from what we were just talking about, what are some things that you're enjoying right now? Like what's a song that's really just sort of, been like lightning from the sky for you lately, just came in out of nowhere, has been wonderful?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely like writing the best music I ever wrote in my entire life right now. And I know everyone thinks that, but like, I really, really think that. Right. Your newest song is always your best song. Every artist feels that way. But I really, truly feel like I've hit that like peak where I'm like, oh, I really know what the fuck I'm doing right now. And this new crop of stuff that's going to be releasing all throughout next year is going to be my best work. And I also have a few collaborations that are like going to also change my life, like big names. And so they just either liked my voice or they like I sent them music and they were like, the song, I'll sing on it. And so that, I don't know how it happened, but it's just like, yes, this is going to definitely get me out there, get Corlyx out there like 1,000, like way faster than I could ever do on my own. Mm-hmm. Unless I had like $1 million budget.
Right.
So this next year is going to be really, really crazy. One of the collabs I'm doing is not post-punk. It is not dark wave. It's actually like, I've never put out music like this before, ever. Mm-hmm. So I guess I would say it's a little like dark pop / electronic rock.
Right.
I just had this song and I loved it. And I just started developing it a little bit, and I sent it over to like a really big name to see if they would sing on it, and they said yes. So they're tracking, and that's just gonna be that's probably the thing I'm excited about the most. And you guys will you'll know what it is in February.
Okay, all right. So not too long to wait. That's good.
So like, oh, that's what she was talking about. You'll for sure know.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, that's a really good answer. That's a really good thing to be excited about. I have no reservations about calling you out.
Collaborations are like, if you can collaborate, like, do it. That's like the most important part of like getting yourself out there. Like, you found me because of Jamie,
right?
You know, and it's like that's what you got to do when you're an up and coming artist. You have to just see if you can like collaborate with as many people as you can. You know, that's definitely like it's really great. And I'm happy to. I've sang on a couple people paid me for studio vocals, but also like, you know, I'm happy to put myself out there as a for hire singer because you know I need money, but also the tracks were cool enough, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I'll sing on your stuff, and I'm sure it will help them like get out there a little bit more as well. So I'm definitely giving back, you know, to my community, and yeah, whatever I can do on that front is also I'm happy to do it.
Right. Well, I will. I'll make sure to mention your name to anybody I know of who might be a good fit. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I heard you on Eat Their Young, and you know, I've been listening to Jamie's stuff for years, and you know, your art, your performance spoke for itself. I mean, enough to make me go, I need to check out what Corlyx is.
That's so cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, he's just like an amazing producer, and like he sent me the track, and I was like, oh wow, this is sick. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a pretty fantastic dude. I love Jamie very much. That's a good answer. A good thing to be enjoying. I'll give my answer as well. I'm enjoying the weather here in Reno right now because it's like kind of reminding me of my childhood of being like super excited to wake up and like, you know, eat tomato soup and watch Star Wars. And so now I'm like, you know, I got my Star Wars sakis on, and you know, I'm getting up early to like, oh, I'm gonna play my Star Wars video game and hang out with my dogs, and like it's the weather's putting me into that, like, you know, kind of Star Wars. I need to play, watch, breathe sci-fi stuff all the time. You know, sci-fi books and that kind of thing. So.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. I love it. Like,
have you seen the new Dune?
Yes, I saw it like in a dinner theater, so we got to like have dinner and like be super reclined and those like really comfy like your feet up. Like that was a real treat. I took a quick trip to Florida, and like that's where I saw it there. Yeah, absolutely. Dune was great. I want to watch it again. I need to, because I felt like I was like a little bit, because I was trying to remember the first one, and so I was like, wait, what's going on? So I definitely need to watch it again. It was so good though, and I
felt like I needed 2 more hours with it at least. Like yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
because I just kept trying to remember the first one. I was like, wait, what does that mean? Oh, okay. Yeah. So one more watch for sure. Absolutely. And then I'll be like,
I'm not a fan of the name Duncan, Idaho. It just, it annoys me to no end. I'm not into it. Frank Herbert can be a genius, but Duncan, Idaho as a name is no good. I'll just put that out there. All right. Well, I will go ahead and let you go. And thank you again so much for your time and for,
thanks for thank you for like, you know, just listening for so long and like taking the time to talk to me. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And anytime you want to come back on the show, you're more than welcome to. Just fire off a message to me, let me know. And I'll let you know when this goes up, probably in the next week or so.
All right. That's actually good timing because I'll be releasing the next single.
Okay.
Called Take Off Everything. And it's a jam. It's a absolute jam. Yeah.
Can I exert some like interviewer PR privilege and can I like get a preview link? Can I get to hear it early before it goes out?
Yeah. How about this? I'll give you a trailer.
Okay. All right. I'll watch the trailer. But again.
visit voidsignal.net. If you'd like, you can even buy a t-shirt to support the show.